that come on, so that it's ever changing.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm wondering, it's great to hear that you've got a team of 13 to 15 people that are trained around this engagement with people when they find themselves in difficult situations. I'm wondering whether you do any data analytics, and back to my comment before, particularly I think with older people, but probably it's not just older people, there is definitely, despite an attempt not to have this happen, there is definitely concerns in the community about people using their heating. I know people that are probably doing okay that still are choosing not to turn the heaters on in winter because of the concern about power prices. I think there's a new demographic of people that are actively concerned and taking perhaps detrimental decisions, uninformed detrimental decisions around their heating, and that's adding to health impacts and things in winter. So I'm wondering whether you're put your mind to any data analytics around people's change through winter around a reduction of power when you might have 20 years worth of records for them, an older member of the community, they consistently have and all of a sudden their usage goes down, and that you might actively engage before people get in trouble. And I don't know how you would manage it, so that's the question. Are you doing any analytics on this? Because there are definitely people in our community that might not be disconnected but have turned their power off, that are not lighting or heating their homes in winter, and that are choosing to be cold and get sick rather than actually heat their homes. So what level of work are you doing in what is a complex and multi-layered sort of scenario with data to maybe engage early before people get in trouble or before people get sick? It's a really long question.
There's multiple parts to that one.
Yeah, but I think it's
No,
if you can navigate it.
I understand what you're saying. I'll give a couple of lenses. One is our work with smart meters and the A+ app and the likes is exactly one of those things you're talking about, and that is to give people visibility on their usage, to be able to get onto tariffs, load shift where they can into the middle of the day and the like. So as to someone's personal circumstance of affordability of energy, I mean, you couple that with rent, with food, with petrol, with insurance. So we will leave that part alone. But of the parts that we can control, our focus is push the energy literacy, help people try and use less energy. We have no problem. We encourage people to use less energy. Do we have the analytics you're saying as to does someone suddenly reduce their usage? It's not a
specific. It might not even be sudden, but it might be reshaping.
And I suppose the issue with that is through our energy literacy, we hope to see people reduce their usage over time. So So I think to get to the analysis of, or to get to the root cause of what you're flagging would be quite difficult, because people are their own masters as to how they use their energy and when. But our focus is to try and educate them on when's the best time to use it, to lower your cost as best you can, supporting things like energy efficient appliances, support of the nil scheme and those various things. So we also, rightly so, don't have data going back 20 years. The data you're talking about really has only been available since smart meters came into play. When there was a basic meter being read 4 times a year, we have absolutely no idea what people's usage is. And for those that remain on a basic meter today, that is the problem with those remaining
bill
on
data, I suppose, though, quarterly bill data. I think this is sometimes a tricky scrutiny, because you're doing lots of great things. You are proactively engaging with the community. You've got lots of different programs. There's lots of good thought going into how we can support people. And there's a lot of outward-focused programs. What about partnerships with people like Tascos? I know they're active in this conversation in terms of concern for energy poverty, and they have come up with ideas around low-income energy tariffs and things. Do you enter into a way of finding that information out to support people? Might be through conversations with neighbourhood houses, with men's sheds, with people having conversations. Are you changing the way that you use power? I know that the neighbourhood house in one of our communities say that their coffee expenditure in winter goes through the roof because it's the only hot thing a person will have through winter. They're not heating themselves. They go and have a hot cup of coffee up at the starting point. Is there have you put your mind to, or would you put your mind to, ways of doing, and I know that you're doing a lot, doing more to get early access to information, because a lot of this is about protecting people at the end when there's difficulty with debt, but early access to people in terms of supporting them through their choices.
I might just mention before handing over to you, in terms of, government's energy policy, and, I've certainly met with Tascos and genuinely asked for thoughts and ideas that they might have in exactly the space you're talking about, how we can do, how there may be ways to support people and reach into those difficult to access places. More than happy to hear. I imagine you hear regularly from those agencies as well as others. But, happy to hear. If there are good ideas out there, more than happy to hear them.
I'm wondering whether the smart people at the table, whether it's an active conversation, whether it's a program or a project, you have to continue to find ways of doing this.
We work with a multitude of partners. We've talked about some of them today. Nils, Men's Shed. We work with Salvos. We fund I think it's at least a half or if not a full position in Tascos that advises on energy. We work with the other community groups, as you'd expect. So we have forums at least twice a year where we meet with community representative organisations that pick up the likes of the organisations you're referring to, and also a separate forum with business. So we use that as a forum to listen and hear what the challenges are that are going on in the community. So we seek to be engaged on multiple fronts. Obviously, rolling out Generation U now is another way of trying to bring understanding and literacy to the evolving world of CER that's coming in as well. And I know for a lot of people that's attainable for some and not for others, but we're trying to play that part as well in educating. So we tend to have a full court press on, I suppose, many ways of trying to connect to the community